Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to everybody here in the room. Welcome to all of you who are joining us virtually through Facebook, Zoom, and YouTube. So we're going to get started right off. I'm going to ask our musicians to come up. We got a little something different this morning because we have somebody in the room whose actual birthday is today. So I understand. So we're going to sing Lois, happy birthday. Because we can. I'm going to let them start.
I've never actually played Happy Birthday, but I just looked up the chords, so I think it's going to work out.
Oh my goodness. When I sing at a birthday party, I always do that before it starts. Give the note. Happy.
1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Lois.
There we go. That's winging it, right?
Say again. Abraham, all right, you're in good company. All right. So before we get started, let me just ask you, what's alive in you this morning? One word. Joy. Hope. Gratitude. Excitement. If you're with us online, feel free to put yours in the chat, and I'm just going to invite you to hold that energy throughout our time together and see how it shows up for you. All right. All yours.
I'm going to play a song called Life, and the lyrics are up there. Hope you enjoy singing along with us. Oh, life, oh, life. Let I not let one moment go by without being grateful. That's it. Grateful for this life. Oh, life, oh, life. Let I not let one moment go by without being grateful. Let's do that again. Grateful for this life. Oh, life, oh, life. Let I not let one moment go by without being grateful. Grateful for this life. Oh, life, oh, life. Let I not let one moment go by without being grateful. Grateful I am. 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 Trusting 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 I am. Peaceful 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 I am. Loving 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 I am. Grateful. Grateful I am. 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 Grateful for this life. Grateful for this life. Whoa, life. Whoa, life. Let I not let one moment go by without being grateful. Grateful for this life. Whoa, life. Whoa, life. Let I not let one moment go by without being grateful. Let I not let this moment go by without being grateful. Thank you. We do a song called Feeling Better. Once again, the lyrics are right up on your screen there.
I know you sound so lovely when you sing it with us people.
Feeling better all the time. Oh, I'm feeling better all the time. Yes, I'm feeling better all the time. Because I am truly blessed, that's it. I'm feeling better all the time. Oh, I'm feeling better all the time. Yes, I'm feeling better all the time. Because I am truly blessed. I'm gonna sing a verse here. I said I am not a victim, no, and there is nobody here to blame. So I acknowledge God's presence here as my life. I feel joy this day. I feel joy this day. I feel peace this day. I feel faith in humanity this day. And then I go into a place inside where everything will be alright. I know everything's okay. Oh, I'm feeling better all the time. Oh, I'm feeling better all the time. Yes, I'm feeling better all the time. Cause I am truly blessed. One more time. I'm feeling better all the time. Yes, I'm feeling better all the time. Yes, I'm feeling better all the time. Cause I am truly blessed. Thank you.
That is like my favorite new earworm. It truly is. So I am Reverend Rafe Ellis, and I am the senior minister here at Sierra Center for Spiritual Living for 3 more Sundays, counting today. It's an amazing transition time. And what I do know is that you're going to be incredibly well served. In my absence, Reverend Julia is excited. She's currently taking a little vacation, and I'm doing my best to leave her alone so that she can actually be ready to go when she gets here. So one of the things I get to do is remind us of who we are and what we're up to as Sierra Center. We are a radically inclusive, spiritually progressive, supportive, intra-faith community that celebrates the diversity of creation. We strive to live authentic lives through a practical application of spiritual principles. We engage in sacred practices that uplift our spirit, deepen our awareness, and ignite our soul's self-expression. We demonstrate active compassion to ourselves, each other, and the world. We experience meaningful contribution through giving generously of our time, talents, and treasures, and we intentionally share our community and the teachings of science of mind and spirit. And one of the things that we do every Sunday morning to give action to our commitment to inclusion is our interfaith inclusion candle lighting ritual. And we light these candles to celebrate the unity of all people, all faiths, all beings, all life. We light the first candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples. We light the second candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the third candle for Taoism, honoring the path of ultimate reality, the natural way. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the middle way and path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the teachings of Jesus as the path of love, forgiveness, and healing by the presence within. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of New Thought teachings, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through a practice of the universal spiritual principles of love and law. We light the 10th candle for absolute inclusivity, affirming that all are welcome and celebrated here. And we light this final candle, honoring the infinity of oneness as all creation, seen and unseen. Thank you, Deborah. So now I'm going to turn it back over to Love Eternal for our next community song.
Thank you. I love that candle lighting ceremony. I think if your God is too small to include everybody, then you're not looking at the right thing there. This is probably my favorite song that we've been singing for a while, and when y'all sing it along with us, it's just so beautiful. It's called Come Home, and Shauna wrote all the lyrics and melody. It's really her song there.
Singing right through me.
could just do that for an hour. Thank you. So this is our time of announcements, and we got a couple. Just two quick reminders. We still have our Manifestation Mastery group on Tuesdays from noon to 1 and from 5:30 to 6:30. You're welcome at either of those or both. On Thursdays, we have our Science of Mind study group. Same times, noon to 1 and 5:30 to 6:30. We are studying the 1926, the original Science of Mind text. It's quite a bit different and quite refreshing. It's way less wordy, way more direct. And if you are challenged with reading Ernest Holmes, I invite you to consider that maybe what we're really challenged by were the editors that worked with Ernest Holmes, because Ernest Holmes' original book is not that complex. So I don't think it was Ernest that we're challenged with. I think it's editors and publishers maybe. Special service, February 29th is my last Sunday, and Reverend Julia and I will be co-facilitating that service. We will do the talk together. I would love to tell you what that's going to look like, but we don't know yet. We just know we're going to do it. And then as my last official act as senior minister, I will install Reverend Julia as the bridge minister, and then we will spend time together. So I invite you to bring a covered dish. We'll have a potluck afterwards and socialize and dream and connect. Please just focus on food items. February 26th. I lied, didn't I? I did. There's not even 29 days in February. Thank you, Dee. Oh, my goodness. My brain is a little bit toasted because we've started packing, and it's really interesting to live by faith because we know where we're going, but we don't know where we're going. We are moving to Columbia, Maryland. We don't have a residence yet. We have a place on the map. And I'm going to help find us a place, so we're trying to get some stuff packed so that doesn't all fall on Deborah. And it's just, those of you who know me know I'm not typically a naive person, but I had a really big blind spot because I moved here from the East Coast. I thought, it's not a big deal. It's only a couple of grand. That was in 1998. It's different now. And so navigating all of that has been fun. And so if I'm a little scattered, that's what I'm blaming. It's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I think that's it for our announcements. Oh, no, it's not. This is an amazing human being that knows a little bit about superpowers that's on the cover of our Science of Mind magazine this month. Reverend Dr. Cynthia James. She is amazing. Everybody in this magazine is amazing, but check it out. We have them over there. They're $5, is that? $5. They're all set up. Juanita has them set up so you can pay on the QR code, and if you're challenged with that, she can help you. And if you don't want to do it that way, she'll work with you to figure out what way works best for you. We just want to get this in your hands and in your mind because it's an amazing little tool. Okay, now that's all of them. So I'm going to invite our practitioner this morning, Deborah Ellis, to come lead us. She's going to talk to us about our community value of service. And then we're going to do something a little different this morning. Instead of ringing our brass bowl 3 times, Shauna has brought her beautiful sound bowl this morning. And so she's going to ring that 3 times before we go into our meditation.
Details. Good morning, beautiful people. My name is Deborah Ellis, and I'm one of your licensed practitioners here at Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. And I'm going to talk to you this morning about the community value that this community decided, the members of this community decided was something they wanted to focus on for the year. So when I think about service, I think I really need to nod to my parents who are no longer here. The value of community service that they taught me growing up. And it was always very important to be involved in community, volunteer in community, and just be a part of community in a variety of ways, including serving on boards and all of those kinds of things. So thank you, Charles and Irene, for raising me with that value. And so as I think about that, I think about 35 years ago when I came into the rooms of recovery, I got to remember that value of service that I had forgotten in those days when I was lost in the dark, let's say. And I recall one of my counselors saying to me, I said, God, how come people just don't get involved in community service, and why don't they get involved in the meetings and do things? And he so eloquently said to me, well, you know, Deb, some people weren't raised that way, the way you were, and they're not remembering like you are. So be kind and gentle, because it is one of the core values of recovery that we serve. And that means stacking the chairs, picking up the cups, you know, being a secretary, whatever is called for to keep everything flowing, right? And we're talking about a group of drunks, right, that could figure this out. And I call that God, group of drunks, so, which was what God was to me in the beginning, because I was pretty angry about a lot of things, and I just had lost faith. So what's alive in me this morning to talk about with service is it begins with me, right? And it's this place of self-honesty, and what I love about self-honesty is I just have to be honest with myself, right? I don't have to tell you if I don't want to, and I could trust you and tell you, and we could have a conversation and have a deeper connection and so on and so forth. But I need to be honest with myself of where I'm serving from. So I get to ask myself stuff like, well, what is your motivation for doing that? Why are you doing that? Is it because you want to get something your way? Is it because you think you know it all? Those kinds of things, right? I get to ask myself, what is motivating me to be in service? And as I answer those questions, I get to shift my consciousness. I get to shift my thoughts. I get to laugh at myself. And it's fun to laugh with other people, right? And tell on yourself, you know? It's like, this is the story I'm telling myself about that if I don't do this, this won't happen, or that won't happen. And then I get to check out, is that true? Is that really true? And then once I decide what that intention is, what that motivation is, I'm recognizing that that is where I'm serving from. So if I'm saying, you know, I want to pick up those chairs and I want to be a part of community and I want to add my voice to the mix, that I'm here on purpose and I'm valued and what I think matters, then, oh boy, that's really fun. Because then I just get to sink into being authentically me and using my voice and participating. And knowing that the benefits of that are greater than I can even see. You know, because it takes all of us collectively adding that value to make the little engine go, right? You know? So I'll leave you with this. You get to decide. You get to consider. You get to contemplate about what service means to you. And to know that whatever that is, once you've done that internal work and you're honest with yourself and you're clear of what your intentions are, that anything is possible. That anything is possible. Blessed be. Allowing your next breath to be a little bit deeper than the one before, as you resonate with the sound of the bowl. Recognizing that there is one breath, one collective breath that we share together. It is peace, it is joy, it is beauty. Moving, expressing, articulating, resonating as all of life. It is that heartbeat of life that we share together. It is the allness of life, knowing itself exquisitely as each individualized expression that is present right here in this very room and beyond, into the cosmos, into every seed, to every smile. It is this beloved that is expressing and knowing itself, awaiting our very participation to express as only we can as it. It is my heartbeat. And so as I'm knowing this truth this morning, right here in this place, standing on the agency of love, I claim and affirm and accept that all of life is moving harmoniously in the great flow, in the great expression, in the collective consciousness, this consciousness that we are all dripping into with our thoughts, with our beliefs, with our beingness. And so I accept in this dripping, this flow, that we choose wisely what it is we want to add to this collective consciousness, that we are all knowing and feeling those things that we don't know why we know, but we just know. Or we sense whatever is being expressed in our presence. And we know it is this world that we are creating together, this world that works for everyone. Everyone. So I'm knowing as we flow together this morning that there is a oneness that we share together that is beautiful, and it is whole, and it is perfect, and it is complete. And when I say that, what I mean is there's nothing to add to and nothing to take away. that all of it is divine and holy, and all of it is this one thing expressing. So I just breathe now in great joy, and I release my word into that alchemy of love and law, knowing that there's no waiting period, that it is done as it is spoken. And I just allow it to be. And I anchor this now by saying, and so it is. Awesome. Well, welcome everybody that's joining us online. We're so glad you're here with us. Wherever it is you're tuning in from, you are so welcome here, and we're glad you're here this morning. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read our affirmation, and if you so choose, you can read it with me, and I'll read it again. Where is our affirmation? Okay, can you blow it up? Thank you, Juanita. It's behind you, too. Oh, should I turn around? You want? Because I can't see that far. Okay. All right, I'm going to read it. I am expressing my divine calling right here, right now. I am expressing my divine calling right here, right now. Blessed be.
Indeed. It's okay, I can't see that far either. So this is a song some of you have heard before and some of you haven't, and it's definitely different than what you might hear in a church. So I'm going to give it a little preface. A lot of people have this false belief in science of mind that it's about just ignoring things and putting your head in the sand, and if you think of good things, then only good things will happen. But there's a lot of terrible things going on in the world, and what science of mind to me means is that we are recognizing those things, but we are tapping into something greater so that we can change those things for the better, so that we can create a world that works for everybody. Does that feel good? So this song is actually called America, which spells America, this lovely country that we are a part of. And I think that's enough of a preface, right?
Could be a cliffhanger, I don't know.
And well, what you focus on grows. This I know. So I choose to try to focus on the things that I want to see. But there are things going on that trouble me about this place and this way that we're living in. And some things just have to be said. Some things just have to be said. Some things just have to be said about this place that we're living in. Some things just have to be said. Some things just have to be said. Some things just have to be said so we can move forward. Like it was built on the backs of the Africans. And they were stolen from their motherland. Empire military bases in every foreign land. And R for the racism that today still stands. Even in myself, and I for the indigenous people. Their blood is on our hands. C for the corporation, no respect for the earth, the sea, or the land. But we leave it on A, for anything is possible. We're gonna leave it on A, for all is in our hands. We're gonna leave it on A, for anything is possible. We're gonna leave it on A, for anyone, anywhere can rise up and take a stand. Some things just have to be said. Some things just have to be said. genocide. And I read about the Mexican War, how it started and how things went. Now I'll never ever ever call someone else an illegal immigrant. And the struggle for African American rights, some think that we've won, but the jails and the ghettos tell a different story. I can see that the job's not done. And what about World War II, Nazi Germany? At least then we were on the right side. But the IBM Corporation created the systems for calculated genocide. Vietnam, on and on, this war against the communists. You'd think we'd have learned after all those bombs that you can't crush a movement with violence. But it goes on like this for so many years, up to Saddam Hussein, who we hung by the neck like a madman for using the weapons that we gave. Some things just have to be said. Some things just have to be said. Some things just have to be said about this place that we're living, way that we're living. Have to be said for me, said for me. Some things just have to be said so we can move forward. And I'd be doing none of us here a justice if I didn't mention the connection between the starving people of the world and the overflowing fridge of most Americans over time. Gonna leave us on one last point, and on this point we shall dwell, that we serve a mighty God, and with her all things are possible. So hey, as we remember amazing grace, and am for the majestic beauty of this place. E for everyone is sacred. S for reparation, restitution, reconciliation. And I for individuals can make a difference. C for yes we can, yes we can, yes we can. Love is A. Anything is possible. I believe it. A. All is in God's hands. All is in God's hands. A. Anything is possible. I believe it. A. All is in our hands. All is in God's hands. All is in our hands. All is in these capable loving hands. Some things just have to be said. Thank you.
Even if we don't want to hear them. Let's take a breath together. So some of you may be stuck in the differences that have happened this morning than what you're used to on a typical Sunday morning, which is perfect fodder for the talk. Inquiring minds want to flow because we didn't ring the bell and we didn't do 3 ohms. And in fact, we didn't even do a meditation. Oh well, it's just perfect because that's the flow that happened this morning. Marcus Aurelius, we often hear just a little bit of his quote, and quite honestly, misquoted, when we hear no one can step into a river, the same river twice. That's not actually what he said. What he actually said is this: no man ever steps into the same river twice, for it is not the same river, and he is not the same man. That's a little different than we can't. It's just a fact. We don't. Now let me read that so that it is more inclusive. No one ever steps into the same river twice, for it is not the same river, and we are not the same person. And then if you really want to let it in, I never step into the same river twice. For it is not the same river, and I am not the same person. I invite you to consider when you find quotes that move you, personalize them. Read them in the first person. Let that sink in, because it will in a very different way. So this morning, inquiring minds want to flow. Why is it not the same river? Because it's constantly moving. Why are you not the same person? Because you are constantly changing. Creation is just that. It is creation. It is never stagnant. If creation were stagnant for a moment, everything that we have ever experienced would cease. Gone. Everything. I think it was Einstein that during an interview somebody asked him what was one thing he knew for sure. And he said that everything is always in motion. Everything. And so this idea of locking in to one thing is perhaps the most insane thing that we do as humanity. I did a talk last week for Unity in San Jose virtually. And the talk title that came to me was Curiosity is a Portal to the Limitless Life. And then they asked me to give a little blurb about that. And I was coming up empty. I was like, that's a great talk title. What the heck does it mean? And so I went in to contemplation about it. And this is what came. The slippery slope of certainty is perhaps our greatest limitation. Fixing our thought in the rightness of a factual past. Each time we dare to imagine an indefinable newness, we move into an expanded experience of our own infinite divinity. That is curiosity. Will we allow ourselves to do that? Last week, we ended the talk with you are, I am, we are the infinite's curiosity in form. And yet, I have experienced over the years that we really resist curiosity. We resist asking questions of ourselves and one another, and for some reason, well, that's not true. I do know why we're. The reason is because we've been taught that if someone questions us, to be offended. If you're asking me a question about me or something I believe, you're challenging me. You're underneath that. What you're really saying that you won't say is that I'm wrong and you're right. And so when we're asked a question, our default human response tends to be defensiveness because we're perceiving the question as an attack. What could be more ridiculous in an infinite creation that is always moving? Always moving. I quoted Revelations last week because I love bringing the Bible into metaphysics. It's an amazing library of books. And if we just change our seat in the stadium of how we look at it, we might actually learn some things. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hear my voice and open the door, I will come in. If that's not questioning, what is? There's always a knock at the door. open the door. Open to the curiosity. How many times a day do you question something? Right? The problem isn't that we don't question. The problem is that we don't freaking answer them. Right? When you see something and something inside of you says, what's that about? Answer the question. When you're in the middle of something and you question, what am I doing? Answer the question. If you want to know what is operating in your consciousness, answer the question. That symbol up there, for those of you online, I'm pointing to the Science of Mind teaching symbol. The circle with the 3 sections and what appears to be a V in it. We talk a lot about those 3 sections. We don't talk enough about that little fit in the middle, because what he's really, that came about when Ernest Holmes was teaching a class. And he said, let's assume that this is everything, right? And he made a circle just for context, because everything can't have a circle, has no edges. Right? And he divided up the sections not as separate things, but as attributes of the creative process. Right? That mind is activated into law, and then it produces form or experience. That's this downward slope. The upward one that I rarely hear us talk about is really, I think, the most important one in the mix. Because what he's indicating there is then we observe what is in form and we have another thought. And that thought instantly is acted upon. And so what he's really demonstrating is the cycle. And that's why we wind up with these beliefs that are so deeply held. We just believe them, and if somebody were to ask you, when did you learn to believe that? We look like a deer in the headlights, because we don't know. We don't know when we began to believe that, because we were born into those beliefs, and nobody even sat us down and taught us. It's just how it has been, because it's in the collective consciousness. If we would begin to own that second part, we would begin to really establish and take power in controlling what's in the collective consciousness, in healing what's in the collective consciousness. See, when we observe stuff, when we observe people, when we observe our own out of alignment, perhaps if we simply ask, what's true? And thought that is acted upon by law, and that manifests. If we will stop asking what's wrong and start asking what's right. If we'll stop asking what's missing and start asking what's available. All we have to do is change our seat in the stadium of life. Look at it from a different perspective. Own the power that we have. Every one of us. As Rumi said, we are not, the drop is not the whole ocean, but the whole ocean is in every drop. You are not all of creation, but all of creation is in you. That's how much power we have. That's how much clarity is available to us if we will answer the questions that come up for us. Because those questions that just come, perhaps That is the divine standing at the door and knocking. Perhaps that is the invitation to open to something greater than you have been able to conceive of. I look around the room here in our sanctuary, as I often do, and I see these beautiful banners joyfully creating beloved community. Am I? There's a question to ask. Am I? What does beloved community look like? There's a question. I'm going to save that one for last. Celebrating our oneness in spirit. What does that look like? Do I even understand what that means? Those are questions to sit with. My favorite, which was such a bold move organizationally by Centers for Spiritual Living to establish a vision of a world that works for all. What does that mean? Do we know? No, we don't. We absolutely, if we are being really honest, we don't have a clue what that means. Most of us don't even understand the word world. Are we talking about my world, your world? Because there's, we all live in our own little world, right? And some people will tell you we already have a world that works for all because we each live in our own little world. All right, okay. Is that what that means? Maybe. I don't know. I don't think so, but that's just what I think. Are we talking about the world as a earth sphere? Right? What are we really talking about? What does it mean that works? That's such a slippery slope, right? A world that works. Well, what works for me may not work for you. Some people hear works as everybody's employed. Right? A world that everyone is employed for all. I've heard it translated that way. Right? I've heard people say the world already works for all because consciousness, spiritual principle works the same for everybody all the time. That's true, but is that what that means? I don't know. And I'm bold enough and vulnerable enough to own, I don't know. And so if I don't even really know what that means, how will I know what it looks like? How will I know how to get there? We have to start asking different questions. We have to be brave enough to own 3 of the most magical words I've ever heard strung together. I don't know. I don't know. And feel what you feel. Really let yourself feel that. I don't know. There's an amazing book written by a gentleman, D.E. Paulk. I don't know. The Way of Knowing. Okay? Because if I won't admit I don't know, the door is closed. The music's up loud. I don't hear any knocking. Because I'm just jamming out to my own beliefs. It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's just a thing. In the truth of oneness, and I'm going to wrap up with this. If I close the door for myself, I close the door for you. Every place I limit me, I limit you. Because there's only one. What it's going to take for humanity to truly heal is for all of us to open our minds, for all of us to open our hearts, for us to be willing to sit with people that hold excruciatingly divergent beliefs and be curious. Not listening to correct. That is not curiosity. That is a setup. It's mental violence. Stop it. But to listen. Because perhaps when we begin a spiritual practice of authentically, genuinely listening to one another, instead of listening to make each other wrong or listening to grow our posse of rightness, perhaps then we will begin to experience wholeness and oneness and the diverse magnificence that is available in one mind. Jared made a comment earlier. If your God isn't big enough to include all versions. And so I will say this, if your mind isn't big enough to include all the thoughts in mind, that's your brain. It's not your mind. Your mind already has all those thoughts. They're already yours. The only thing that is creating your pain is your resistance to owning what is in mind. As Ernest Holmes said, and I'm going to close with this, there is no such thing as your mind in my mind. There is just mind. Let's take this into prayer. As I breathe into the truth of oneness, the reality of one thing, one life, one breath, one heartbeat, one mind, one body, everywhere present, creating, individualizing itself in exquisite multiplicity, individualized. I know that I am that. And I know that every expression of life is that. From the tiniest to the most majestic, all fully infused with this one, all diverse, all equal, all included in the body of the infinite. And so I know that that being the truth, that being the singular reality of creation, that what is available to me is to question every barrier I have built against experiencing that. To question, to resolve, to bring into alignment every lie that operates in the collective consciousness of humanity. And that as I say yes to asking the right questions, as I say yes to responding to every question divinity brings to my attention, every time there's a knock, I open the door and I answer the question. I get that much closer to my true self, the true shared self. And as I get that much closer to me, I get that much closer to all in the one body. And as I know the truth of that, inclusion becomes the only available practice. So grateful to feel that vibrate in every cell of my being, that inclusion is the only option. And so I celebrate. I celebrate that the word spoken is the word fulfilled. And I let go of being distracted by time frames in this human realm. And I simply stand on the authority, on the agency of that which created me and lives within me, that it is done. It is done. It is done. And I invite you to join me as we say together, and so it is. Let's take a breath. This is our time of conscious giving. And so I ask you to be aware of the law of reciprocity, and I invite you to give in parity as you have received. Let's say our prosperity affirmation together. I give this gift with love and joy from a consciousness of abundance. Divine love blesses and prospers all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Please receive the gifts.
That was such a great talk. I feel like you've been on fire since you, I don't know if it's knowing you're leaving, you want to leave us with something solid or something, but we're going to do this song called All Is Well. It's a nice little positive ditty for us to jam out to, and especially after that long adventure of a song we did last time. This is called All Is Well. There's a new day on the rise, so we give it one more try. We got grand visions of peace, 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 peace. We got grand visions of love, love, love. All is well with my soul, all is well with my soul, and all is well. All is well with my soul, all is well with my soul, and all is well. All is well with my soul, all is well with my soul, and all is well. All is well with my soul, all is well. All is well. All is well. Yeah. 'Cause every step is a step on a solid foundation. Every breath that we breathe is a true, true blessing in this life that we live. On a sacred mission to reveal the Most High. Lift up the vibration of the planet, the people, we all connected. Every being here deserves our respect, and forgive all that's come before and after. Fill my heart with the sound of sacred laughter. From the share from the joy to the elder. As we gather and witness to the splendor of this life, where we learn and we grow. All is well in my soul. All is well in my soul. Yeah. We got grand visions of peace, 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 peace. We got grand visions of love, 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 love. We got grand visions of peace, 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 peace. We got grand visions of love, 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 love. And we are pulled by the vision, pulled by the vision. We are pulled by the vision, pulled by the vision. We are on a sacred mission, on a sacred mission. We are pulled by the vision, pulled by the vision. All is well with my soul, all is well with my soul, and all is well. All is well with my soul, all is well with my soul, and all is well. All is well with my soul, all is well with my soul, and all is well. All is well with my soul. it.
So I speak a word of blessing, a word of gratitude, knowing that each contribution, each gift sustains and grows Sierra Center and our nonprofit partners as we give through Sierra Center to do amazing work in the world. And so it is. Okay, couple of reminders. Cynthia James can go home with you today. Check her out. Thank you, Deborah, for being our practitioner this morning. Thank you. Thank you, Hillary, for being our PowerPoint person. Thank you, Jill, for being our greeter and our usher and our flower bringer. Thank you, Carl, for bringing our flowers up every Sunday that you bring them. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Juanita, for being the wizard behind the curtain. Thank you, Jared and Shauna, a.k.a. Love Eternal. And thank you, because this is way more fun. You're welcome. This is so much more fun with bodies in the room. Yes. All right. So what are you taking with you today? What are you taking? Curiosity. That's the right answer. Somebody was listening. Expansion. Love. Joy. Openness. Love. All right. So, I've been getting questions all week about the Super Bowl. I really don't have a team in the game, but I am rooting, to answer the question, I am rooting for the Chiefs for no other reason than I have a really silly man crush on Patrick Mahomes. So there you have it. Let's stand and do our benediction. Something wonderful is happening as me right now.
Something wonderful is happening as me right now.
It is this thing called the unknown.
It is this thing called the unknown.
It is this thing called the question.
It is this thing called the question.
It is this thing called curiosity.
It is this thing called curiosity.
I know it. I feel it. I sense it. Because I am it.
Because I am it.
And so it is.
So it is.
If you order tamales, I'll be in the kitchen.
Let's finish it up with feeling better. We'll end it how we started it, right? I'm feeling better all the time. Oh, I'm feeling better all the time. Yes, I'm feeling better all the time. 'Cause I am truly blessed. I'm feeling better all the time. Oh, I'm feeling better all the time. Yes, I'm feeling better all the time. 'Cause I am truly blessed. One more time. I'm feeling better all the time. Oh, I'm feeling better all the time. Yes, I'm feeling better all the time. 'Cause I am truly blessed. Thank you so much.